Hey everyone, my name is Shiv Gaglani. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Osmosis, and it's my pleasure to be speaking to you today for about 10 to 15 minutes about the three strategies to get started learning by osmosis. I'm calling from Baltimore, Maryland, which is where I actually started medical school at Johns Hopkins up the road 7 years ago. So a lot of this stuff is very fresh in my mind. If you're starting school, hopefully we can give you a lot of tips and tricks on how to get started hitting the ground running. And so I'm going to screen share so I can show you what I'm talking about. And what I recommend is follow along with me. You'll get a chance to take advantage of some of the tips I'm giving you and how to use Osmosis most effectively. So when you first go to Osmosis, this is the landing page. And if you haven't already, go ahead and create your free trial. I'm just going to sign up with Facebook. And what it'll show you if you're new to Osmosis is this start page. And again, I'm going to pretend that I'm going back in time 7 years to when I was starting medical school. And so I'm a student, I'm getting my MD degree, and I go to Johns Hopkins, and I am a first year now. And so I'll say finish. Whoops. I think I just went through that before. I don't know why that happened, but normally it doesn't happen like that. So of course it will when I'm on a webinar. But this is what it should look like when you do log in. Especially if you're a first year, the featured series will be how to succeed in the health profession. So I think it happened because I had already done this. So the first thing you'll see is this dashboard where there's a library. And there'll be the latest videos, some featured series. Again, if you're a first year, we are going to feature a great series on how to actually do well in transition from college to professional school. And then a set of other videos and other content for different topics. And so we have comprehensiveness in pathology and physiology, as we just announced this week. And many of you, again, if you're starting med school or other health professional schools, will be starting with topics like biochemistry. So simply click on biochemistry and go to the resource map, and you can see some of the topics we cover organized in these categories that are very easy to check off. And next to these topics, you'll see an Osmosis logo when we have a video for it. And so the first tip really is to go to the library and start clicking around here based on whatever topic you're starting to study, whether it's biochemistry or embryology or hematology. And look for topics that you'll be learning about this week or you already learned about. So I'm going to click on glycolysis. What you'll see is we have these learn pages. We have over 3,000 learn pages and over 800 Osmosis videos on those pages. And of course, you will see the videos that many of you have grown to love. This is our 11-minute video on glycolysis.
Is then converted to its isomer.
But unlike YouTube, one of the things you should hopefully take advantage of when you start learning by osmosis is not just watching the video and then forgetting about it, but actually going ahead and quizzing yourself once you've watched the video. And there's a lot of different options you can take advantage of in terms of quizzing yourself. You can save it to your queue, you can repeat older cards, or you can simply just browse the flashcards we have. And again, most of these are self-explanatory if you just click around. But once you finish watching the video, we recommend actually quizzing yourself, because then it'll be added to your spaced repetition. So I'm just going to answer a couple of questions or flashcards here. And that'll be that. And so apart from the quizzing yourself after watching a video, you can see what's up next. Obviously, if you're learning about glycolysis, you're probably going to learn about the TCA cycle shortly after. And then if you scroll down, you'll see we have other content. For example, links to partner content. This is a Picmonic, as well as telling you what page of a popular book, First Aid, glycolysis shows up on. It's on page 74 of 2018. And then obviously other related concepts. So the simplest way to really get started learning by osmosis is to just click on the library tab and figure out what you're learning, and then find the right topic for that. If you want to, instead of having to go through 3 or 4 clicks, you can also just type in what you're learning. So I can just type in glycolysis, and there it shows up, or anemia. And you can see not only do we have a sickle cell anemia video for when you're in hematology or biochemistry. But we also have a clinical practice video, and this is new. We've started creating dozens of these videos that essentially help take you into clinical practice, whether that's your third year of med school or you're a practicing PA. A lot of people are now using our clinical practice videos that take you to the differential diagnosis and treatment options. So that's tip one, is just start simple, go to the library and start using whether it's the resource index or the search bar to find great osmosis content. Tip number two is actually creating a study schedule. So on my left bar, you see there's a couple different options I have here. The way to enable that is to go to Add Tools, and you can see what you have enabled or disabled. So enable the study schedule. And when you click on the study schedule, it takes you through a wizard that'll help get you on the right track. So I'm just going to start it. Our default has been for med students, and so it'll ask you about step one. If you're a nursing student or a PA student or you're an international student who doesn't take step one, simply say, I don't have a step one date, and this will work just as well for you. If you're a first year med student, chances are you probably don't have a step one date too. I know at Hopkins, we started med school in August, and then a year and a half later started studying for step one. So we didn't have our dates when we started. And then it's also more than 12 months from now. I am taking classes. I have class exams to study for. And then my classes end, again, a year and a half later. So I can say they end February 3rd. And I just want a schedule for my class exams. And I'm going to start that setup. Again, at Hopkins, we started with Foundations of Medicine. So I'm going to say September 14th is my first exam, and it's going to cover immunology. And now I'm going to pick a couple of resources. I'm using First Aid 2018, and these are some of the resources I also want to use. And you can modify any of these at any point, so don't worry about being locked in. And so the first thing you'll see is that we've created this class exam review that stretches from August 11th, which is today's date, to February 3rd in 2020, when my preclinicals end. And I'm starting with immunology. And it'll give you a day-by-day schedule. So in this case, I need to read this one page of first aid, and I can just mark it as complete, or I can say I actually don't want to read it. And then it'll say, here's a osmosis video that we have that you should take a look at. And this one's on the immune system, right? Which makes sense because you're just starting immunology. And it'll serve up the right osmosis video so you don't have to think and find it. So again, this is a little more advanced than just searching. Because you have to actually go ahead and create a schedule, but it's worth it because it saves you a lot of time in the long run. You can also look at this in a weekly basis, and every few days it gives you some work to do, but then you can use other days to catch up, or on a monthly basis. And if you want to add parallel, like say you're doing immunology and biochemistry at the same time, you can add a new schedule in parallel. Or you can simply just go back and create the next block. So say after immunology, I'm learning about cardiovascular. That's going to go from September 15th, and my exam there then will be October 31st. I can add that topic, apply the edits, and what you'll see is after my exam on September 14th, it starts with cardiology. And I can click on any one of these and start clicking things off. So there's 6 videos I should watch that day. So again, if you really want to take the stress out of figure out what to study, let Osmosis do that for you. So that's the high yield tip number 2. Create a study schedule and start playing around with that. Some of you have already started school, so you can very easily go in and create a schedule now. If you're going to start school, take out your syllabus, look at what your first block is, and create a study schedule from that. And maybe you can even get a head start. Many of you I know were using this over the summer to either prepare for school or catch up on what you forgot your first year if you're returning to school. So tip number 1, to summarize again, is to use the library. That's the simplest way to get started. Use the search bar. And tip number 2 is to use the study schedule. We have many more advanced features here, but they aren't going to make their way into the top 3 tips because they are for more advanced users who want to experiment with uploading documents and getting recommendations. And I will cover those on a different webinar. But so tip 1 and 2 are on the website. Tip number 3 is on the app. So if you haven't downloaded the Osmosis app yet, go to your iPhone. It's called osmosis.org on the iOS store, or on the Google Play Store, it's Osmosis Med, and download the app. And it'll take you through the setup process. Use the same email you use for the website, and it'll sync up your accounts. And then also enable push notifications, because Osmosis will actually send you daily questions based on what you're studying. So since I just learned glycolysis today, tomorrow I'm going to get a push notification with a question about glycolysis. And that's part of why we called it Osmosis, is we wanted knowledge to diffuse into your head without you having to think too hard about what you need to organize your studying with. And so download the app, and what I'm going to show you here is actually a web version of the app. So normally, this would be something around your iPhone case, but again, I'm emulating it here. And so the first thing you'll see on the app is actually we have the schedule. So if you create a schedule, you can also go through that on the Osmosis app, which makes it very convenient, because then you can mark things off. If you're in the library and you don't have your laptop, but you have your phone, you can just mark things off as having review them. There's also the flashcard bank, all 25,000 flashcards that we have. We have more than 800 videos that you can watch from within the app. And then we also have questions. So you can simply go in, click on cardiovascular, for example, select, and then start answering questions. And these also will come back to you via the spaced repetition. So again, this is one of our most popular tools, and one of the simplest ways to get started with Osmosis is just downloading the app, enabling push notifications, and starting to use the content that we have within Osmosis, the app, and that syncs to what you've done on the website. We have over 100,000 students who've used the app to answer questions while they're commuting to and from the med school or the hospital, or when you're in between classes or in between seeing patients. This is also a great way to kill some downtime. So just to summarize, again, the top 3 tips for getting started learning by Osmosis are to use the library, to use the study schedule, and to download the app and make sure that you have that set up. And with that, I want to wrap up, let you guys spend the rest of your time actually getting this stuff set up. My marketing team has asked me to tell you that there is a deal currently going on with Osmosis. If you want to upgrade to Osmosis Prime and get more than 800 exclusive videos, including our clinical reasoning and pharmacology series, as well as some of these more advanced features like the study schedule. And you can simply just go to osmosis.org/deal/back-to-school18 and take advantage of that. When Ryan, my co-founder, and I met as anatomy partners at Hopkins, one of the articles we wrote when we were starting Osmosis was, what can medical education learn from Facebook and Netflix? And part of that was the business model of Facebook and Netflix. So Facebook is free to use, just like a lot of our YouTube videos are free to use, but they're ad supported. Netflix is only about $10 a month, and with the back to school deal, you're spending less than that. And one thing that a student told us the other day was, if I can pay for Breaking Bad, I can definitely pay for my medical school career. So hopefully you're able to take advantage of the back to school sale and take full advantage beyond what's on YouTube and what's on Osmosis Basic with Osmosis Prime. So thank you all. If you have any questions, please feel free to follow up with us using support@osmosis.org or using the chat button on the bottom right. Best of luck as you start a new semester, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you. Take care. Bye.